Okay, Jerry Hicks, whenever you're ready.
Well,
up to 10 minutes, yeah?
Up to 10 minutes. You'll have to stop me then because I'm not timed this. Listen, I'm going to be candid, controversial. I think that's important. We are on the second month of a nominating period for the election of General Secretary for Unite. So what? Another election, another General Secretary. Couldn't be more different. This is the single most important election for generations. We stare into the abyss with the cuts that have already come for many, thousands in the finance sector, even though we own the banks. I say we as taxpayers, and also we as Unite. Most of the banks that are wholly, solely or partly owned by us are organised in Unite. I've taken a long time to get here tonight, Chair, and I'm glad that you've organised it. It's taken me 31 years to get here. That's when I joined the union 31 years ago. I'm not going to meander through those 31 years, but it's important to pick up on one or 2 points throughout that period, because my view is that we're a lot worse off now, 31 years later, as a country, as a system, and as a union. And the crime there is we're in the biggest union in the country. Unite, 1.7 million members. But we've had 13 years of Labour. We've had Unite fund it to the hilt, millions of pounds, tens of millions of pounds. So why should I say we're worse off? Well, let me tell you why. In the last 2 or 3 years, when we've nationalised the banks, but instead of owned by us, for our reasons and for our benefit, we've seen our members, families, lives thrown onto the scrap heap. It goes on unabated. We've seen Redcar on Tyneside, a steel manufacturer, closed. We've seen Cadbury's, chocolate, and even in recession people eat more chocolate, I'm told, closed not once but twice. Diageo, Johnny Walker, that's whiskey, Kilmarnock, Scotland. You'd think you could organise a demonstration to keep a whiskey factory open in Scotland. And they did. In all those examples I gave you, there were demonstrations, there were campaigns, there were lobbies. And every single one closed. There's a pattern evolving. Last year, May of last year in Birmingham, centre of the country, a march for jobs organised by Unite, the biggest union in the country, potentially the most powerful. LDV vans up for closure, another big factory with hundreds and hundreds of workers and families. The whole fabric of society survives and depends upon it. So these were the ingredients. Wouldn't you think we had it all there? Labour government, funded by tens of millions of Unite, a factory closure, a big demonstration. What did we do? I tell you, if you thought Cameron being invited to the TUC, we bettered that. We invited Unite Sir Digby Jones to be at the head of our demonstration. Digby Jones, if you don't know, was the head of the CBI. And only weeks before this demonstration, he said that a third of public sector workers were surplus. He was on our march for jobs. We marched to the top of the hill like the grand old Duke of York, and we were left there. The flags, the banners, the officials went away, the factory closed, and we were left at the top of the hill. And I tell you, the pattern that developed was campaigns, yes, lobbies, sure, but it missed a vital ingredient: industrial action, strike action, that could have saved those factories, those jobs, our members, and it was missing. And in my view, our union, this path we've trod, the 3 terms of Labour government, funded to the hilt by us, let off the hook on privatisation, on PFI, on wars aplenty, some illegal, some dubious. We've got appointed officials, and I believe that's part of the problem. A job for life. All the candidates in this election, with exception of myself, are appointed officials. The front runner has been an appointed official for decades. And that's part of the problem. How can you possibly know our pain, our hurt, our stress when you're in a job for life? I'm going to bring us more up to date, Chair. I'm going to run out of time, I know. BA, If I wasn't angry about LDV or Johnny Walker or Redcar, it's BA. This is the best and the worst example in my view, where we had 80% turnout, 92 for strike action, one judge. One judge overruled all of that before Christmas. But before he did, a Joint General Secretary declared the 12 days that the strike committee agreed is a bit over the top. He undermined our members. In my view, that was a disciplinary offence. But you know, no one spoke out against Eric Simpson. And they should have done. And they should have done. They either agreed with what he said, or they didn't have the courage, the will, the conviction to challenge him. And that gave a green light to Willie Walsh. By the way, these people I'm talking about are the 11 Assistant General Secretaries. Think of this. Our union, 2 Joint General Secretaries, 11 Assistant General Secretaries, 3 of which want to run this union. Give me the crown, the gown, sit in the throne. I've seen 3 terms of a Labour government. These people, appointed officials, let Labour off the hook year after year after year. The crime of BA was not that they went to court, not that the judge ruled against us, but that they could do that. 3 terms, millions of pounds, 11 Assistant General Secretaries failed to repeal even the most pernicious part of anti-union legislation. Those were the squandered years. And I tell you this, the more that they complain and condemn that failure, they're actually talking about themselves. Don't give them the money, don't give them the title, don't give them the kudos when things go right, if they haven't got the collective responsibility when things have gone so terribly wrong. In those years, we've also had opportunities. 2 fine ones spring to mind. Lindsay Oil on Humberside. An unofficial strike. A good one in my view. A problem, you meet, you come off the clock, you meet, you show with hands. That's what used to be legal. We've been criminalised. And it hasn't been challenged by the TUC. The silence of the TUC have been deafening. Our union's impudence has been ridiculous. But Lindsay Oil challenged all that. Our union had the choice. Do we support or do we turn our back? Our union repudiated. It went nowhere near it. And that's a problem. We've lost members in construction to the GMB. But that strike won. That strike won. 100 jobs created. New jobs available to all. And the next example I give, the next example is Vestas on the Isle of Wight. Vestas produce turbine blades for wind turbines, for green energies, the very energies that are going to save the planet, we're told. And I believe Vestas, a profitable company, 625 workers, 25 of which are in Unite. Investment 1 minute, closure the next. And those workers were brave enough to occupy. Occupy is illegal. We had a choice. This was a popular dispute. I went there, the same as I went to Lindsay Oil, and all the other disputes for 31 years. That's called solidarity. Whether it's legal or not, it's no good to go to Tall Puddle and commemorate the past if we're not going to be brave enough to challenge and confront the injustice of the law in the present. So I went to Vestas, but I was the only one there of the present crop of candidates, and the 2 that were candidates that have withdrawn. We should have supported, we didn't. The factory closed. My view is that had we done, that factory would still have been open. When the law is so wrong, we have to confront. That factory was open, which should have been open, would have been open. My view is 1 million green jobs. We should be the Saudi Arabia of green energies. Sea around us. Wind that blows a gale. Sometimes not in Manchester or Leigh, but the sun shines. And these are 1 million jobs that could be, should be Unite members. We're a top-down, bureaucratic union, a can't-do union, appointed officials that are a job for life. I believe in elections. When I was offered one in 2003, I turned it down. That's called principle, not because I don't want to serve the union. You can see how passionate I am now. Branches that are distant, dumbed down. This is synonymous. 10% voted for the NEC, only 15% to create the biggest union in the country. There's a reason. And there's a responsibility. The responsibility has been poor leadership, the wrong call, again and again and again. BA, I'll finish on this. 70 of our members suspended. 7 sacked. And all we do is we have a war chest of 2% from every branch with no consultation at all. Well, Willie Walsh is an animal. It is union busting. But he can also do his sums. That worked out at £62.50 per striker. It's a bankrupt policy. Willie Walsh running us into the ground. There's one thing worse, Chair. This is my final point. There's one thing worse than having no policies. And that's having policies that you do nothing with. It's been our policy to repeal anti-union legislation for 20 years. Our failure is we did nothing about it. We are now at the end of the beginning of the abyss where members are angry and vulnerable. There needs to be a change. A member of the union. You and I, not an official of the union that's been part of the problem, not the solution.